Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
Today, we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a video about building and saving your income, a book about best friends running their babysitter's business while dealing with some personal issues, and we have a totally awesome guest. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Austin Kerr. Austin is the founder of Humanagement, and a software program that helps people with HR.
Thanks for having me. I made HR software to help people have better time at work.
Nice. Well, today we're going to start off with a video game of the week, and this is going to be some money.
Nice.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is Build Your Stacks. This is given by Next Gen Personal Finance. This is a website that teaches you about personal finance. You can find it at ngpf.org and click on the arcade button. And the cool part, so it's all free. So to start the game, and they teach you how to play. But I'll give you a shorter version. You have 20 years to make the monies. 1 year equals a minute. Every 30 seconds, your pocket cash will restock, and you will get $4,000. They present you with 7 different ways of making money, but you have to unlock them. When an investment is unlocked, it will show you how it works and how you gain money from it.
That's super interesting.
So then you start the game. First, you have a savings account, and then you can earn an interest from having money in your account. Pretty nice. And next, you can buy what's called a CD after the first year. You can put money into a CD, and you will gain a profit over time, as you get better investment types like stocks and government bonds, and then you can earn that money cash. I got my dad to play it, and he was very good at it. He earned over $450,000, but lost a lot of money on the commodities market. I think it was fun to play with the stock market and the mutual funds. The mutual funds seemed to make more money over time, where the stock market did well for short-term boosts. I like the CDs the most because you were always sure to earn money and there was no risk.
Interesting.
Well, I give Build Your Stacks 10 out of 10 stars because I really like this game getting my money problems down to 0. I really enjoy that it's challenging and keeps me on my toes. My dad said it was a good way to learn about different investments and the benefits and pitfalls of putting your money in different places.
Is it a game for just kids or for all ages? Do you know?
All ages.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, so I feel like they could really benefit from also learning how that works, as some people don't. Nice.
Now it's time for the book of the week. The Babysitter's Club, Claudia and Mean Janine. This book is written by Anne Martin. Let me read you the back of the book. In fact, Austin, would you like to do the honors?
I sure would. So Claudia and her sister Janine may as well be from 2 different planets. Claudia, who pays more attention to her artwork in the Babysitter's Club than her homework, Janine works in college courses, then something bad happens to Mimi. Will the sisters work together to help Mimi or not? Sounds interesting.
Okay. Well, this is an Arrow book that's worth 1 whole point. It's rated for 2nd grade and 7th month. That is not a lot of points because it's a graphic novel, but the subject matter is made for teens. So in book 4, the Babysitter's... Go ahead.
I remember the Babysitter's Club from when I was a kid, and schools are still relevant in doing stuff.
Yeah. So in book 4 of the Babysitter's Club, we start off with Claudia having to deal with her times tables with what she calls her Mean Janine, her sister. She's kind of a pain and a big smart aleck. Then the next day, Claudia's doing her math test and she finishes it last. Then Claudia and Janine and Mimi were playing the trivia game, and Claudia thought Janine was cheating in the game. Then Janine got mad and left the game, and then Mimi went to bed, and then Janine came back, just explain. And then they hear a thud. Well, turns out Mimi's now in the hospital, and you will not know why because I want you to read the book yourself. Well, I give the Babysitters Club Claudia and me and Janine 12 out of 10 stars because I like when Claudia and Janine made up and helped Mimi recover from her spoiler stroke and helped her remember her words.
That was pretty cool.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And now it's time for our interview of an interesting person. Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Austin Kerr. Austin is the founder of Humanagement, a software program that helps people with human resources.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's just there to make work better.
Okay, so first off, how were you enjoying being on the show?
I think it's a lot of fun. You're an awesome host. I really like your energy and how you have so many different segments. Very awesome.
Okay. So I know that HR stands for Human Resources, but for my listeners that have no idea, can you explain exactly what is Human Resources and why do we need to manage it?
Yeah, totally. So Human Resources is the basic idea of employees. So in a business, you have a few different resources that you use to deliver a product and make money. Like you have your physical assets like the building or maybe some machines. You have your inventory, which is like products that you're selling. And then you have humans. So in different businesses, humans play a larger or smaller role. Like if you have an IT business, that's a lot of humans who are doing work with people. And so when you have people, just like in school or anywhere else, you need to manage them. You need to make sure they get along, that the teams work together, that they know what they're supposed to do. And all that kind of falls under the umbrella of human resources.
Okay. Now, what are some of the larger issues with human resources?
Pay is one of the bigger ones. A lot of people, will start a job and then they'll feel like they want to make more money. The business sometimes doesn't have the money or doesn't want to pay the people the money, and so there's a lot of disputes that happen with that. Another one is understanding what everyone's supposed to do. So in a business, things are always evolving. People are coming up with new solutions. The market changes, meaning like what people need to produce changes. And so as those changes happen, people get ideas about things or they don't get enough information, and that makes them feel undervalued, overvalued. They argue with each other, all that sort of stuff.
Okay. So you wrote a computer program that helps with the management of human resources. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so in the software world, what I found is that most developers develop things that they know. And not a lot of software companies really understand managing people. And so the tools that are out there, like when you come to something like a sales management or accounting, there's really robust tools. But when it comes to HR, a lot of the tools were like very small. They would handle like just hiring people or maybe just dealing with people's time off. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to provide like a whole approach to HR and managing people. And so I made a software that has a bunch of little tools, kind of like an ecosystem that just makes managing and working with employees easy.
Okay. So how long have you been working in the human resources field?
About 15 years.
Nice. So what got you interested in working in HR?
So I actually used to be in the music industry, and I used to manage tours. I played in a band when I was younger. And when I was managing tours, I started hiring lots of people. And I realized how important making the right hires and then managing our expectations and stuff like that really mattered. And so when I stopped doing the music, I just continued doing a lot of HR stuff. And I ran a theme park for a while. I did some IT work like your dad. And then I found myself at a larger corporation that I helped build. And there I really, really learned how some of those decisions affect the long term.
Nice. So what is the best part about working in this field?
You are making such a huge impact on people, right? So like you're younger, right? So one third of your life right now is school, right? So you sleep, you have your free time, then you have school, and that's like 1/3. When you get older, that 1/3 is work. And so for 50, 60 years, 1/3 of your life will be work. And so when you work in HR, you can make that 1/3 of people's lives either horrible or wonderful. You can make them have purpose and feel like they're accomplishing things, where they have friends and people they can talk to and a sense of community and family. And so I really love being able to make that huge of an impact on people's lives.
That makes sense. So how does your software make it easier to manage HR?
So one of the problems that people run into is business executives and HR, because my software is kind of for both, they get really busy with stuff. And there's a lot of things they know they should do, like have policies and have clear instructions for people, keep track of various information about employees, but it's really time consuming and hard. And because of that, when they have a lot of work to do, a lot of that stuff they don't do a good job of setting up their company to be a great place to work at. So Humanagement uses automation, like it does stuff for you automatically that you would kind of think you need to do, but don't have time for. And because it makes all that stuff happen automatically, it means people can be better managers because they can do the things that are important without it taking up so much time.
Mm-hmm. So what size company would need your software?
Anywhere from about 10 employees to about 100 is that's my sweet spot for companies.
But what if they only have like 1 or 2 people?
So they could definitely use my software. I have some companies where that's size who do, but at that point, having automations to help you when you only have to do something every once in a while can sometimes be more annoying than it is helpful. But once you get to 10 employees, all of the little administrative things are like way overwhelming. And so that's where you really are going to see the benefit from using a software like mine.
Mm-hmm. Now, I interviewed someone that was a safety director. Is that kind of similar to human resources?
Kind of. I'm not super familiar with a safety director, but from what I would imagine, it's dealing more with workplace safety. So that's would be relevant at a very large company. But yeah, at a smaller company, HR would also kind of tackle that or be in charge of it.
Okay. Now, my dad said that you lived in Florida but travel all over the world. Have you always wanted to work remotely but all over the place?
Short answer is no, honestly. I traveled a lot when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, I did a lot of traveling. I've been to 13 different countries and 47 different states. I feel I travel about half the year, maybe a little less than that, mainly because my wife loves it. And when you find someone and they're your wife, you want to do those things that make them happy. And so it makes my wife extremely happy to travel. So now I continue to do it.
Okay. So what is one of the coolest things that you got to see in your business?
Ooh, the coolest thing. So, I mean, it might seem lame, but basically I had an idea for this software and I spent a lot of time building it. And every now and then, I mean, not every now and then, but I see companies who are really using my software. I get a look and I can see so many people logged in from that company and that's really cool because it's something that I made, I invented on a little computer, and now thousands of people are using in their daily lives, and that's really cool.
So what is the hardest part about being in human resources?
One of the hardest things is that employees tend to think that you should have everything handled and figured out, which as people, nothing's always handled and nothing's always figured out. It's always a little bit more messy than we want. And so it can be really stressful for people to put anything that's wrong with humans in a workplace is on your shoulders. And so that can be difficult.
Okay. So what part of your work is the most fun?
I really like doing demos. I really like when a new person comes in and they get asked all these little fun questions and I get to talk to them and understand their business. I love that interaction.
Okay. So what are some of the things that a business can do to save money with their staff?
So one of the things that you can do to save money is you can try to make work have a little bit more of a meaning for those people. So there's a saying I sometimes say, which is you can never pay someone enough to be miserable, right? So if someone's unhappy, you can't pay them enough money for them to be willingly unhappy. And so when you make your workplace, when you don't think about the way the break room works or the way that time off works, or that the teams are people who could enjoy working alongside each other, you're basically guaranteeing you're going to have to pay them for that frustration they're dealing with. And so when you set up your company and you don't have to put a lot of work into it, but if you just think a little bit, hey, maybe that guy should be over there, whatever. If you think about that stuff, then it makes people happier and they will demand less money. So it's cheap.
Well, if you could think of one thing that would make your job easier, what would it be?
My job. With people, when you have a software and you're creating a software, you basically you've invented something, and there's these things called bugs, which is basically when you created these two things and you didn't think about a way that they would interact with each other, and then someone makes them interact with each other and it doesn't happen good. So the thing that makes my job easier is when people tell me. If they don't tell me when things are not working well, then I don't know, and other people will have that bad experience. So when people tell me, it makes it easier.
Okay. Now, my dad said that you used to work with Fortune 500 companies, like the one in magazines. Which is more fun, working for large companies or working for yourself?
So I would actually say I like working for large companies. I know a lot of people who really like working for themselves because there's freedom, no one can tell them what to do. But I basically made Humanagement because the large company I was working for wasn't mine. So I had to deal with a lot of other people's rules. And sometimes in HR, I think, hey, people would be happier if things were a little bit different. So I mainly wanted to make Humanagement so I can make a big giant company that I can make be a wonderful workplace. And so I want to work again at a large company because I think it's fun.
Okay. Now, I am learning a little about coding, and so far it's fun. Did you write all the code for your software all by yourself, or did you have a team?
So I had a team. I would say I wrote probably about 1/4 to maybe 1/5 of the code in the software. A lot of the stuff in the beginning I did, and then as we released and got more customers, I had to do other things like demos and stuff like that. And so I kind of put more of it on my team at that point.
Okay. So what's the greatest challenge that most human resources managers are dealing with today?
The greatest challenge right now is that a lot of people are quitting. There's a lot of turnover, like people are leaving one job and then going into a different one. And so that's really, really difficult for keeping like a company stable. And so they're trying to come up with reasons why people are leaving and to solve that, basically.
Mm-hmm. So what is the craziest situation that you've run into while working in this field?
Ooh, that's a really good question. There was one employee at a company who kept dating people in the office and then having these horrible breakups. And you can't really stop them from dating because it's both people want to date each other, whatever. But they kept dating new people, and then they would stop dating, and then there'd be these giant arguments in the office. And so we had to it was a delicate situation. It was hard.
Okay, that's kind of confusing, but also kind of hilarious.
Yes, both. Correct.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's why would they do that?
I don't know. I mean, it was a workplace. I don't know. People are friends with each other, and then I don't know. But
depends on the company.
It was a situation. Yes, depends on the company.
So what advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and work in human resource management?
So HR is really great because, like everything I said, you got to create such a big effect. It's really good to kind of get your foot in the door. You don't necessarily need a degree to work in HR. A lot of people who work in the field don't have degrees. But if you can just find a company and you're a people person and you like caring about people, then just start offering to help, even if you don't work in HR. Start offering to help with an event or something like that, and then people will find that you kind of have that skill set and you'll be given that job easily. Working in HR is great because a lot of people don't like confronting it because people are scary. And so you can make a lot of money and you can have a lot of power in a company if you work in HR.
Okay. So when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up? Did you always know that you were going to work in human resources?
No, I wanted to be a basketball player. And then when I found out around 16 or 17, I wasn't quite good enough for that. I then wanted to be a musician. And so I then got into a band and did all that. And then From there, basically just fell into HR.
Okay, well, I'm on a radio show and podcast that talks about God during my Line Strong segment. How do you include God's message in your work?
Well, one thing that's really important about God and kind of what the Bible talks about is like helping your neighbor and, being great, which I think is really what HR is about. You're really trying to make your company help people, not only the customers, but also the employees and the employer. So I think that my software makes helping easier. And I think when helping is easier, a lot of people do it. So that's basically.
Okay. So what was the first job that you ever had?
I worked in a mailroom, and I worked for a company that sent out lots of mail, and they would get mail back saying that people changed their addresses. I'd have to look up and figure out what their new address was and then change it.
Okay. Was there anything you learned from that job that helped you to work in IT or human resources?
Yeah, I learned a lot about the company. The company that I worked for, I had a really boring job. I worked there for 2 years and never got a raise. When I then graduated, they offered me another job and I turned it down. I learned a lot about the way that companies work that I was able to then improve upon. And so, yeah, very helpful.
Mm-hmm. So who helped motivate or inspire you the most in following your dreams?
So I had a really great family, honestly. I think a family similar to yours and your dad, who, your dad obviously does a lot of work to try to make your dreams possible and make sure you understand that you can achieve things. And so I grew up in a similar type of family. My mom was very entrepreneurial, like she started businesses. My dad was self-employed, and me and all my sisters have all started their own businesses, and we're all very successful. And I think that, my parents had a big thing to do with that.
Okay. So what message do you want to show children all over the world about doing the work that you do?
I would say that the most important thing to understand about work, just in general, is that just because you're going to grow older, you get paid per hour, right? That's how people pay you. They pay you per hour, they pay you per week. And so people get the idea that what they're being paid for is their time. And it's important to understand that no one will ever pay you for your time because your time is not valuable. What's valuable is what you can do with your time. So the products you can make, the shows you can produce, the audience you can inspire, that's what people pay for. And so when you go out into the work world and when you start with a part-time job, even if it's just giving ice cream to people, think about the fact that you're being paid to deliver something. And if you make sure that you focus on what you're delivering, you'll get paid more and more money, you'll get more respect, and you'll do very well in life. And if you think you're just being paid to be there, you'll get paid less money, you'll get less respect, and you won't do well in life. So that's a big difference.
Okay, well, what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
My biggest mistake was staying in a company longer than I wanted to. I was really unhappy there, and I knew I was unhappy, and I stayed for far too long, and ended up, making me produce less. I made less money. I was less happy. So it's really important that when you are unhappy, you do something about it.
Okay. So when you're not working on human resources, what do you do for fun?
I spend a lot of time with my wife. We like to garden, work in our house. We like to go and eat and try new fun food. We're vegan, so there's always fun, interesting restaurants.
Mm-hmm. Do you play video games? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
So I don't play a lot of video games because I'm pretty busy, but my favorite video game was Final Fantasy VII, which I still play again every now and then. I also really like Star Wars, The New Republic.
But what about on your phone?
So I play a few games on my phone, like the little Top Wars and stuff like that every now and then.
Okay.
But then I have like story. I need like story games. I like to follow storyline.
So what's your favorite book to read?
So my favorite book, it was a book called something about minstrel. I forget what it was called. I read it as a kid. There was this book called Heart of the Jaguar, and it was about this kid who was in this small village in Africa or something, and he had to hunt jaguars, and it had this really great family and community thing to it, and I don't know, I just loved it.
Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show. But that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
So there was one time, this is something you shouldn't do, but there was one time when I was in Japan, and it was late at night, and me and my friends, in Japan, it's really hilly, and they had these really flat roofs. And so me and my friend, we jumped on top of some roof and jumped from house to house for like 6 or 7 houses. And I don't know, probably shouldn't have told you that. Don't do it, ever.
So what happened?
We ended up, it was fine actually. We jumped from a few roofs, and then we got to the end, and then there was like this little not ladder, like one of those things that vines grow on, and we climbed down it. It was just some fun. Nothing too bad happened. Nobody ever knew about it except for you, so I'm telling you. But, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
I have 8 nieces and nephews.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I have 3.
Okay.
Oh, I have 3, but yeah, they all have kids, tons of kids. So I get to babysit all the time, and it's really fun.
Free money, maybe? Or you have to do it for free?
No.
You probably have to do it for free. Well, do you have a Facebook or a website for my listeners who want to follow you?
Yeah, so go to humanagement.io, humanagement.io, and same for the Facebook, facebook.com/humanagement.
Okay. Well, what's that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
You forgot to ask me. You could ask me how much my software is.
So how much is it?
It's $5 per employee per month.
Wow. So if you have 10 employees, it's just $50 per month.
Yeah, that's it. And it does way more for you than $50 would. So it's great.
It's like McDonald's, 100 employees. Okay.
Exactly.
So thank you, Austin, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Definitely can.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
There we go. Thank you, Austin, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to do some more multi-step word problems. My dad is always good at finding new problems for me to solve. And today, we're going to talk about bowling. Hold up, I love bowling. So at a bowling alley, there are 16 lanes. Each lane has 24 pins in the pin setter. The manager orders 19 packs of pins to have some extras. Each pack has 3 pins. When doing inventory, how many total pins should there be in the bowling alley? Well, this is a real-world problem because, well, I love bowling. And just got back from another bowling tournament as well. But I will say that I know for a fact that a pin setting can only hold 20 pins. But we're going to allow this word problem a pass for the sake of math. So, let's start with the pins on the lanes. There are 24 pins on each lane, and there are 16 lanes. So 16 times 24 is 384 pins. But now you have to account for the extras. The manager has 19 packs of 3, so 19 times 3 is 57. Now you just have to add the 384 to the 57, and you get 441 pins. So Austin, do you tell your companies to take their staff bowling to help them with team building?
Absolutely. Many companies that I work with or have worked at have gone bowling as a company. It's a lot of fun.
Nice. Now Austin, my teacher said that I would use math every day. Do you use math in your work?
Yes. In coding specifically, use math all the time.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Austin, for your help with Math Corners.
See David Smith Law.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
That website again is cwsmithlaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the Heart of a Lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and ability. This week, we're going to talk about nobility. For me, I think nobility is remembering we are God's special possessions, acting in a noble way, showing courage and honor. The qualities of nobility are goodness, virtue, honor, generosity, and selflessness. So this week, I went to the celebration of life of my great-grandmother. She was 102 years old when she passed. I remember playing with her as a child, and she was always so kind. She sat in her chair in the corner of her home, but when I came over, she would always be sure to play with me, even if she was tired. This was selfless because she always made time for other people, even though she was not feeling well. My great-grandmother was, in my opinion, noble because she always had honor, virtue, and goodness. And not because she would give me ice cream when my dad was not looking. So Austin, did you see or use nobility at all this week?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that my sister, she had some work things come up. She's a voice teacher, and she wasn't able to leave in time to pick up her kid, which obviously is important to pick them up from school. So she called me. I dropped everything I was doing, and because I was able to, fortunately, and I went and picked them up, and I watched them for about 2 hours until she could pick them up.
Nice. Of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which do you see the most?
I mean, I see a lot of leadership just because of me working with companies, specifically with the people who lead those companies. So I think that, people who decide to lead and to take on that responsibility of making sure that others have a great time is super important. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, we should always try and be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Definitely.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Austin Kerr for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking with you today. I think we learned a lot about what human resources is and how to build a software company.
Thank you so much. This was honestly so much fun. I think you guys are an awesome host. I've been on a few different podcasts, and I think this was my favorite one by far.
Do you mind giving your website again?
Yeah, so it's humanagement.io, humanagement.io. And I'd love for people to go on, get a free trial, try out the software, see how they can make their company better and their job easier.
Okay. Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and subscribe. Also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with our host, Tiberius.